But no, it's interesting you asked this, because I put a widget on my browser that actually looks and basically ranks how often you access particular sites from your browser. So because it was one of those dopey things, techie geek, you just want to see, well, what sites am I accessing most often? And actually, it's what I have as my homepage. That's basically BBC News. It's that thing, it pops up in the morning, I'm looking at that, because that's sort of like, okay, what's been going on while I've been asleep? So that's been interesting that was actually, and it surprised me. The second one on the list was actually LinkedIn, because it's a business communication tool. I use it as an independent consultant. It's vital in terms of keeping in contact, finding out what's going on. And then the third one, and this comes actually back to what Tom was saying around a sort of aid memoir, and it surprised me, because I didn't think it was going to be in there, was my weblog. And then I realized that when you get a certain mass of thoughts on your weblog, it then becomes an essential tool in terms of reminding yourself around, oh yeah, that's right, that's why basically I was making that point earlier. Because you can't hold, because it's such a diverse set of topics we cover these days, it's very hard when you're thinking about a problem space, or a customer asks you a question, to recall immediately what the key issues are. And it's almost like the weblog acts as sort of this repository where it's searchable, you can go back and then in a very structured way discover, that's what I was talking about, and that's the key points, prioritized and sort of thought through. So actually it's a great question, because I've already done the search looking at sort of one of my top 3 sites.
The 3 sites I'm going to give you are all about culture, and the reason for that is I believe that if things are really becoming much easier to do, our problems aren't in implementation but in imagination. And I think it's, for me as a next generation telephone jerk, it's really interesting to see where the next generation is coming from. And so here are the places where I think it's coming from, and this will help you with some culture. The first is a place called Programmable Web. And Programmable Web is an authoritative listing of all the APIs that you can write to as a web designer, and all the mashups that have been written on top of it with a scorecard. Which mashups use which API. And just so you know, there's like 500 APIs and over 3,000 mashups. Okay? So that should really tell you that this is not a small thing. Okay. Here's the second sort of social culture site I would go to. What I would do is I would look up Why the Lucky Stiff. One big word. WhyTheLuckyStiff.net. Why the Lucky Stiff. And he is just one of the 30 fantastic Ruby programmers that exist. And the Ruby culture is primarily people under 30 years old who have IQs that are triple mine, who are writing open source Ruby applications that are powering nearly every Web 2.0 company you see. And it is a culture of independent young guys, a couple girls, mostly guys, as it would always be, unfortunately, who are really living this Web 2.0 life. If you want, and just to catch the uniformity of this, every last Web 2.0 Ruby guy uses the same font, the same color scheme, the same words, the same dress. It's a culture, and it's coming from here. Okay, so I'd want you to go there, and then I would go to Telco 2, the Telco 2 blog. If you're a carrier guy and you're really kind of understanding where can this world be, there's a guy named Martin Geddes who I idolize, who I think is just so smart, who is working on next generation business models, especially for carriers in an IP world. He's really trying to solve the problem. Okay, if everything's over IP, how do you make money as a carrier? And the work that I think he is doing, and if you're going to argue with me, I doubt you will. He is way smart. So I would be reading his blog religiously.
Just a show of hands, how many here are using Twitter? So
right
a couple people, if it's up.
Yeah, sure.
If it's
up.
up.
Right, exactly.
And so Twitter is a site, twitter.com is a site where you can go and put a message in there. It's called like mini blogging or micro blogging. And you type in a message up to 140 characters. And it's 140 characters because that's what can go into an SMS message. And so you can message onto the site using a particular code. You can, and you link your particular phone number to that account. And it goes up on the web. That little tweet is what it's called, has a specific URL. So it's sort of a cross between blogging and IM, except that it's permanent, and people can link to it. And people can follow you, and you can follow other people. You can direct message people. It becomes a platform, actually, for communications. And I'm fascinated by this. People go, well, it's kind of inconsequential, because what can you say in 140 characters? And actually, one of the very first tweets was, how do you find meaning in 140 characters? And I find it so fascinating, because there is tremendous amount of meaning in there. It actually forces you. I find constraints to be a wonderful thing. That when you have constrained 140 characters, you really get down to meaning. So I send messages about what I'm paying attention to, what I'm researching. I'll put out questions to my audience. They reply back to me. I do a tremendous amount of research there. I get updates. I get recommendations. I even found my nanny and my childcare through Twitter. And so it's one of those things where I think it's really transformative for the people who are using it. It's very much an early adopter stage right now. And a lot of people say it's really irrelevant, because I don't care what somebody's doing. I don't care about reading about Thomas's lunch, what he had for lunch, for example. But I do care about his thoughts on Caller ID 2.0. So in that case, it would be worth doing that. I think that Twitter has tremendous applications in context of relationships. So Twitter inside a work group, or inside a department, or inside an event has tremendous context. So I encourage you to take a look at it and be curious to know what you think of it.
Okay, now an open question for all of you who have been so gracious as to hang with us until the very last session. What did we not do in this meeting that we need to be doing in the next one, whether that's in 6 months, 12 months? We haven't decided that yet, but we covered a lot of ground. I think it was a pretty good meeting. I'm real happy with it, but there have got to be things that we simply didn't do or didn't do well enough, and we need your feedback on that. So if anybody has random thoughts, let's take the random.
No, I think this is, you know what I think is really amazing about this show is the incredible uniformity of the excellence. Like, and check me if I'm wrong here, but you look around, there's 200 people, and they're really a great group of 200 people. I mean, there's like a very low bozo factor, which is fantastic. The quality is excellent. Did I say that? Frontal lobe issues. Sorry.
Other comments? James, you've been to almost all of these. Ranking this one with the other ones?
I think you've done a tremendous job, the team and Tehrani and Stealth. I think that it's broad breadth of issues that I'm hearing, as opposed to just basic peering. And the technology behind it is very stimulating, especially the people that are coming are really into issues or discussions that push the envelope. They're not just talking about basic run-of-the-mill issues. You're talking about diverse aspects of the industry to the extent that 80% of what I'm hearing is like, wow, or oh, okay, that's an interesting perspective. So it's a great value proposition as far as participating, and I think the breakouts and the general sessions are excellent. One of the suggestions I could make, but I don't know if it's a good suggestion, is that there would be probably some opportunity for a roundtable where maybe you had a session and a topic where people could come in and expect to participate in the discussion as opposed to facing the front of the room, and you'll get that more off-the-cuff type of reaction and that interplay and collaboration and discussion that might be a little bit exciting. But all the discussions have been exciting, in my opinion.
We should probably actually give Gary a hand. He did a lot of moderating here. So
I have to tell you, I rarely have worked so hard and had so much fun as doing this thing with Tehrani. I mean, this is, what, the third year? It's like 7th meeting or something like that. It's like having a blast. Thank you very much for coming. I mean, the most fun I have in life, I actually write a lot, but I don't enjoy writing necessarily all the time. I really like interacting with human beings. You guys have been great. I could not get enough, couldn't be more happy, and I really look forward to seeing you at the next meeting, whenever the next meeting is. That's not been decided yet. So Thanks very much. Okay, here's the guy who gets this stuff all done. Every meeting he's ever done, I know he's lost money. So it's like, I really appreciate you doing this. It's great. Thanks.
Well, I just want to thank everyone, Gary, and all the speakers and the sponsors. You definitely help us put the show together. The conference is really, performed on a cost recovery model, so it's not our intention to make any profits or anything from the conference. It's really just a major think tank that we really want to put together, and this conference has really shown it. We've gotten so many different intersects of the communication industry. And so we're really excited about that. So definitely let us know what your feedback, what you like about the program, what you don't like. And we're definitely interested in finding out what content you'd like to see at the next forum. And if you have ideas about venues and cities and time of year and things that we should avoid and so forth, let us know. We're all ears to that. Again, thank you very much for staying with us, and we look forward to seeing you at the next forum. Thank you.